Governor Tim Walz officially signed a bill legalizing adult-use cannabis in Minnesota Tuesday afternoon. On top of the THC approval, the new law allows for the expungement or resentencing of cannabis convictions within the state. A whole host of state leaders and advocates joined the governor as he put pen to paper today. Let's take a look.
We will become, I believe, the 23rd state. The 11th other states have homegrown cannabis, but this has been a long journey with a lot of folks involved. What we know right now is prohibition does not work. We've criminalized a lot of folks who are going to start the expungement process on those records. We have a situation where buying cannabis on the streets is dangerous, with the things from fentanyl to xylazine to the other things we're starting to see show up. It makes sense to have that. We also know we have a lot of folks here, and you're going to get to hear from some of those, who have been at this for a long time. And they've made the case around medicinal cannabis, around pain relief, around the ability to treat many things that they know makes a difference, plus the fact of being adults need to make their own decisions around these types of choices. There's a lot of folks in here, and I'm going to miss some, but I want to thank certainly our authors on this. Senator Port, Representative Stevenson, thank you. This is not only getting this bill legalized, it was an exercise in democracy. I think we had 30-plus hearings. We had many witnesses in here. We had a lot of the work that was being done around that and ushered that through countless committees to get it to this point. Governor Ventura and First Lady Ventura advocated for this 25 years ago. And they also, and I want to say thank you for sharing, and thank you for trusting the public with your stories, very candidly came forward and talked about how it impacted their lives, how it made their lives better. These are very personal decisions. These are things that adults would not, and from now on do not have to talk about, but somebody had to do it. Somebody who had the ability to be able to talk about it, to get people to listen, and the Venturas did that, and so it is appropriate that I think at that time, Governor, if I'm not wrong, we would have become the second or the third state instead of the 23rd had we listened to you at that time. I think we were on the front end, but
well, the bronze medals.
Bronze medals. So we're here. But it's a good day, and I assure people as they're listening out there, prohibition has not worked. We need to put things in place that are safe. And for those who make the comments, we're certainly not advocating for our children. We're trying to make sure that there is a regulatory regime put in place. There are processes put in place. There's the ability for adults to make those decisions without criminalizing them. We know what the products are that are out there, and it just makes for a smoother market.
Through the process, there are two things that I have said consistently. One, prohibition does not work. The governor laid out all of the reasons why. If we could have solved any of the concerns people had with cannabis through prohibition, we would have done it any time over the last 50 years. It doesn't work. I'm really proud that Minnesota is taking a step forward and trying something new. And we're trying it in a way that is unique to Minnesota, that really delves into the realities of Minnesota, that looks at entrepreneurial spirit, that looks at reinvesting in communities that have been harmed, and most importantly, that puts front and center in this legislation the expungement piece to make sure that we are undoing some of the harm that we have done as a state through the prohibition of cannabis. This really is a community-focused bill, and it has gotten here today not because of Representative Stevenson and I, or even because the governor pushed this. It has gotten here today because of the people of Minnesota, because you all stood up and said, this is what we want, we are ready for this. You organized through patients who needed medicinal marijuana. You organized through veterans, through farmers, through hemp growers, through retailers. It is a full group effort, and I think that this bill really reflects that, and we will see profit not just in a sort of fiscal way, but we will see growth and profit in our communities in a way that allows our communities to build wealth, especially those who have been most harmed by prohibition.
I was asked this morning by a reporter, why did you take on this issue? And the answer is, it was the issue that I was hearing about from my constituents more than anything else when I was out door knocking. People would say, it's time, let's do this. Our current laws are doing more harm than good. And in a few moments, the governor's going to start to undo that harm, and I'm looking forward to watching you sign that.
This is a huge day in our family's life because prohibition will now end. It's gone on longer than I've been alive. The prohibition of a plant made by God. Well, now we were always told everything was here for us to use. Now in Minnesota, we will be able to use this plant. After years of prohibition, we didn't want any families to go through what the First Lady and I went through. We don't want anyone to have to ever do that in Minnesota. Now, today, they will never have to, because prohibition will end today on cannabis. And I guess I'll finish by saying, for me personally, it's very wonderful to see a dream of yours over 20 years ago finally happen today, and I'm still alive to see it. Governor Walz, thank you. The legislature, thank you. You're the ones that did it. You got it done, and you deserve a pat on the back for that. And what press conference would there be if Jesse Ventura didn't leave with something said controversial, right? Right? So I'll end it by saying this. Jimi Hendrix is looking down on Minnesota smiling today.
Keep watching CBS News Minnesota for continuing coverage.